After decades of studying thousands of couples in laboratory settings, researchers can now predict with 94% accuracy which marriages will succeed and which will fail. But the factors predicting success aren't what most people think. Hey everyone, I'm Felicia Kashiveroff, an ICF certified relationship coach and founder of Tend Task. Through my own research and review of over 25 years of relationship science, I've identified patterns that challenge much of what we've been told about marriage. Today, I'm sharing what the research actually shows, not the fairy tale version, but the real science behind lasting partnerships. Let's start with the Gottman Institute's groundbreaking work. Doctors John and Julie Gottman have studied more than 3,000 couples over 4 decades, and their findings fundamentally changed how we understand relationships. They discovered something remarkable. They could predict divorce with 94% accuracy by observing couples discuss a conflict for just 15 minutes. But they weren't looking at what couples fought about, they were looking at how they fought. They identified 4 communication patterns they called the 4 horsemen: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. When these patterns show up consistently in a relationship, the research shows that marriages are in serious trouble. Not surprisingly, contempt specifically was the single strongest predictor of divorce. But even more important is what they discovered about successful marriages. In stable, happy couples, the ratio of positive to negative interactions was 5-to-1. 5 positive moments for every negative one during everyday interactions. When successful couples fight, this number goes up to 20 positive moments for each negative one. What this tells us is that the goal isn't avoiding conflict, it's about how couples navigate it together. Recent longitudinal research from 2024 adds another layer. A 10-year study following couples found that relationship satisfaction doesn't decline uniformly for everyone. 2/3 of couples who remained married maintained high satisfaction levels throughout, while only 1/3 experienced consistent decline. This challenges the old assumption that all marriages naturally lose their spark over time. In essence, marital satisfaction is less about the passage of time and more about the patterns couples establish and the effort they make to maintain the relationship. This brings me to my own research. I interviewed over 75 high achievers about their relationships: professionals, executives, entrepreneurs. And what I learned aligns with and extends the established research in fascinating ways. First, let's talk about what's actually different for modern couples. 45% of the couples I interviewed have participated in some form of couples therapy. But what stood out was that the ones who found it most impactful weren't just using it to fix problems. They were using it proactively as a preventative tool. Some couples started therapy before marriage or during major transitions, which completely reframes how we think about getting support. Second, the mental load imbalance is real and persistent. Despite many couples actively working to challenge traditional gender roles, high-achieving women in heterosexual relationships still disproportionately carry the invisible labor: the planning, the remembering, the coordinating. Even when both partners have demanding careers and genuinely want equity, old patterns persist. The complexity deepens when we look at current economic realities. Recent data shows that childcare costs have increased by 32% since 2019 alone. 80% of the gender pay gap is attributable to women becoming parents. These aren't just statistics, they're lived realities that create enormous pressure on partnerships. Third, and this one surprised me, the role of neurodiversity in shaping relationship dynamics. Several participants or their partners are on the autism spectrum or have ADHD, which led to unique communication strategies. This self-awareness actually helped couples develop tailored approaches to conflict and support that worked specifically for their needs. By necessity, their communication was more robust, and this led to more satisfactory outcomes for these couples. Now, what ties all of this together? Successful modern couples aren't following a script. They're actively, sometimes uncomfortably, negotiating what partnership means for them. They're having regular discussions about gender politics, household equity, and career priorities. Critical conversations that are vital to maintain relationship harmony. So, what does the research, both established and emerging, tell us actually works? First, the Gottman research on bids for connection is crucial. When your partner makes a small bid for attention, look at this. How was your day? Even just a sigh. You have three options: turn toward, turn away, or turn against. Couples who stayed together responded positively to these bids 86% of the time. Couples who divorced, only 33% of the time. It's these consistent small moments of connection that make all the difference. Second, my research with high achievers becomes particularly relevant. The most resilient partnerships treat their relationship like they treat their careers. They're strategic. They use therapy proactively. They schedule regular check ins. They don't wait for a crisis to invest in their marriage or partnership. Third, couples who openly discuss and actively challenge traditional gender roles report higher satisfaction. Not couples who accidentally fall into egalitarian patterns, but couples who consciously negotiate them. This requires uncomfortable conversations about who's managing what, why, and whether that's actually working for both people. On a final positive note, a 2024 meta-analysis revealed something encouraging. Relationship satisfaction reaches its lowest point around age 40 or after about 10 years together. Then it increases again until 65. So if you're in that difficult middle period, the research suggests that it's not permanent, but you have to actively work through it rather than passively endure it. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this research. Successful marriages aren't accidents. The science shows they're about building intentional patterns, responding to small daily moments, and being willing to adapt as both you and your relationship evolve. Whether you're engaged in building your foundation, navigating the intense years of parenting and career demands, or a high-achieving couple trying to maintain connection despite competing priorities, the research is clear that intentional, evidence-based approaches work. At 10 Task, this is exactly what we do. For engaged couples, our I Do Differently program combines premarital coaching with these research-backed strategies. For established couples working on equity and partnership, the 10 technique provides systematic approaches to the challenges we discussed today. And for high-achieving couples specifically, we tailor support to address the unique dynamics of balancing ambition with intimacy. If you found this research as compelling as I did, subscribe for more evidence-based relationship insights. And tell me in the comments, which finding surprised you most? Let's continue this conversation. Thanks for watching, and remember, the research shows that great relationships are built, not found.